Let's talk about a feeling that is incredibly common, but so often misunderstood. It's that feeling of being completely and totally stuck. We're going to explore the huge difference between mental exhaustion and what we so often and so painfully mistake for laziness.
So yeah, let's just name it right off the bat. That feeling of stuck. It's like this paralysis, where you know exactly what you need to do, but it feels like you're trying to walk through wet concrete. It can be a really frustrating place to be.
And does this sound familiar? It's not about the giant, life-changing projects. Sometimes it's the simplest stuff, answering that one email or just doing the dishes. Tasks you know you're perfectly capable of, but it's like the engine just won't turn over. And that's what makes it so maddening, isn't it? This isn't about not knowing what to do. You've got the to-do list playing on a loop in your head. You can see the path forward. The awareness, yeah, that's definitely there.
And this is so important to remember, you care. You absolutely care about the outcome. You care about getting things done. If you didn't care, you wouldn't be feeling all this tension and frustration in the first place. Apathy feels quiet. This feels loud. And right there, that's the conflict. There's this total disconnect. Your mind and your intentions are pointing one way, but your ability to actually act has hit a wall. It's like the bridge between wanting to do something and doing it has completely washed out.
So of course, our go-to label for this feeling is usually a pretty harsh one: laziness. We beat ourselves up with it. But what if that label isn't just wrong? What if it's actually making things worse? Let's, for a minute, just question that idea.
This really puts it in black and white. Laziness is about apathy. It's a genuine lack of care. But exhaustion, that's completely different. With exhaustion, the care is still there, it's burning bright, but the fuel tank is just empty. There's no energy to make it go.
Okay, so if it's not a character flaw, then what is going on? Well, we have to start thinking about our brains a little differently. Not as this magical source of endless willpower, but as an organ that has a very real and very limited energy budget.
Think of it kind of like your phone battery. Every single thing you do mentally drains that battery a little bit. Every decision you make, big or small, every bit of stress you manage, every time you try to juggle tasks, and especially the constant work of just processing your emotions. All of these are withdrawals from your mental energy account.
And you know how your phone goes into low power mode to save the last bit of battery? Your brain does the exact same thing. It has this built-in self-preservation instinct. When it senses that your energy reserves are getting dangerously low, it starts shutting down anything that's not absolutely essential. It starts to conserve.
And this leads to maybe the most powerful shift in perspective we can have. That feeling of resistance, the I can't, it isn't you failing. It's actually your brain succeeding at its most important job, protecting you from burnout.
Let's just let that sink in for a second. Your brain doesn't send you a polite little text message saying, "Hey, mental energy is at 10%. No, its main way of communicating is through resistance. That feeling of, I just can't. That's your brain saying, we don't have the resources for this. Not now.
So what this really means is that we have to redefine this feeling. It's not a personal failure. It's not a sign that you're weak or incapable. It's a biological safeguard, a protective mechanism designed to stop the whole system from crashing. You could almost say it's a feature, not a bug. And this new perspective helps us answer that really confusing question, right? Why does something so simple, like loading the dishwasher, sometimes feel like you're being asked to climb Mount Everest?
Well, here's the thing. It's not about the task itself. The task is small. The problem is the massive energy cost of initiation. That cost of starting when your account is already in the red, it just feels impossibly high. Your brain is basically looking at the transaction and saying, nope, we cannot afford this right now.
Okay, so understanding all this is a huge first step, but what can we actually do when we're in that state? Let's look at a couple of really gentle strategies that thankfully don't require a ton of that energy we don't have. We're going to focus on two simple but really powerful things. The first one is all about changing the conversation you're having with yourself, and the second is about rethinking what it actually means to recharge. Just notice the shift here. The question, why can't I do this? It's just a dead-end street of self-criticism. It doesn't lead anywhere helpful. But asking, what would make this just 10% easier? That changes everything. It turns you from someone on trial into a creative problem solver. It's a gentle, forward-looking question. And this isn't about giving up or lowering your standards. It's just a smart strategy.
Making something 10% easier, maybe it's just putting the dirty dishes next to the sink or writing only the subject line of that email. It lowers that cost of starting we were just talking about. It creates a much gentler entry point for a mind that's trying to protect itself.
And that second step, redefining rest. We think rest is flopping on the couch and scrolling through our phones. But that can actually take a lot of mental energy, all the little decisions and emotional hits. Real mental rest often comes from things that don't ask you to make decisions. Things like a simple walk, repetitive tasks like folding laundry, or just sticking to a familiar, comforting routine. These things let your brain finally go into a true low-power, recharging state.
So, all of this really leads us to the most important takeaway of all. How we treat ourselves in these moments of stuck can either dig us deeper into the hole, or it can be the first step out.
I really want you to let this one sink in. Feeling this way is not proof that you're failing. It's actually proof of how incredibly hard you've been working. Your mind has been going non-stop. This feeling of exhaustion is just the receipt for all of that invisible work.
So, the next time you feel that wall of resistance, that profound feeling of being stuck, what if, instead of meeting it with that old familiar voice of criticism, you just met it with a little understanding? This isn't a time for a tough motivational speech. It's a signal from your own body and mind that it needs care. And maybe, just maybe, learning to listen to that signal is the most important step of all.